It's a pleasure to be here this evening, so thank you so much, AIESEC, for the invitation and also for bringing me back to Ottawa. I had the chance to spend the day in the city today, and I was actually reminded about how cold it is here today. And I don't know if it's me, but I've spent an extensive amount of time outside of Canada, and a lot of people have told me that it's a very Canadian thing to talk about the weather. Has anyone else experienced this? Okay, good to know I'm not alone. So the theme of tonight's evening is cultivating leadership for global impact. And when I thought about this, I instantly thought about my experience with AIESEC. And I thought it would be suitable to share with you my story of how I got involved with this wonderful community about 5 years ago, and how that inspired me to lead a life of social change and do a whole bunch of interesting things globally. So about 6 years ago, I came back to the Telfer School of Management. It was my third year in my finance degree from an international study term in Copenhagen. At the time, I was really interested in issues surrounding international development. So I was interested in volunteering overseas. So for a couple of months, I looked into a whole bunch of different organizations that placed volunteers here in Canada in different countries overseas. But through that process, I actually got very discouraged. And I'm not sure if this is the case for anyone else here in this room, but I felt like they operated more like businesses, where they charge a lot of money to place you overseas. You work for a couple of weeks on a project, and it's questionable as to whether or not you're actually doing something meaningful. So has anyone else experienced that same challenge and that frustration of finding a volunteer placement that's meaningful and actually makes sense? So I sought out a job, and I found a job for that summer, but then someone told me about AIESEC. And I looked into the model, I researched the organization, and it's something that made sense. The concept of a local organization raising an internship, you're part of this global community, you get transported to an entirely new culture, but there's a certain security there because the local organization's vetted, you're part of this community, and you know that you're not going there alone. So it's something that made sense. I went through the process, and I was placed in an internship in Togo. Who here knows where Togo is? Wow, that's impressive. So when I first found out about Togo, I didn't know where it was on the map at all. And driving up, I was talking to my mom, and I asked her, if you had to point to Togo on a map, do you think you would be able to? And she hesitated. It's been 5 years. So I went to Togo, and 3 weeks later, I found myself on a plane. So this is a picture that I took from the plane as we were landing in Lomé, the capital city of Togo. And the reason why I'm sharing this picture with you today is because this is the first time when I was looking out the window that it actually sunk in that I was in Africa. So from the moment of finding out that I got placed, I had 3 weeks to get my act together and just to mentally get myself ready for being in a whole new continent, a whole new culture for a whole summer. And it was a very vivid memory of seeing the red dirt and the kids playing soccer on the ground. And although I was incredibly excited because this is a journey which I was searching for, I was very, very nervous because it really sunk in at that moment that I had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into. And there was really no going back at that point. But to me, what was exciting about this experience was it was going somewhere brand new. So everyone in this room is here for a reason. We're excited to explore. And one thing that I'd love to share with you is when we think of global impact, I think it's really important that we understand the world in which we live in. That notion of stepping outside of our comfort zone, trying to understand the person perhaps who's sitting right next to us, understand where do they come from, what have been their life experiences, what has led them to think the way that they do. So we don't necessarily have to hop on a plane to understand and embrace the unknown, but it's just I believe it's more of a mindset of always being happy and excited to explore new possibilities and understanding new ways in which things work. So this is where my journey started. I came to a country where I knew nothing about the culture, and I was just excited for that journey. When I was placed in Togo, I was placed on a microfinance project. So I was working with a local bank and a local nonprofit organization to help young people secure loans so they can start a business. At the time, I had the chance to travel, and so I was based in the capital city, but I had the chance to go visit the interiors of the country. So I ended up in a village. This is a village of Namari. It's in the most impoverished region of Togo, and while I was there, I found out that less than 30% of girls were given access to school. This is something that really stuck with me. Being born and raised in Canada, where we're provided equal access to every opportunity and pretty well every essential human right, the notion of less than 30% of girls being able to go to school is something that just didn't sit well with me. I didn't know anything about education at the time, did not know much about international development theory. I was studying finance here at Telfer, but it's something that, I was interested in learning more about it and finding a way in which things can be done better. So when we want to create global impact, it's all about doing something new. And it starts with identifying that opportunity. And in order to identify opportunities, I think we need to foster our sense of intellectual curiosity. Have a better understanding of the world in which we live in, and not to be shy to question, to ask, why do things happen the way that they do? Why are they this way? How can things be done better? And not to be shy, to ask those hard questions, to engage in debates and have conversations with people who are different than those whom we're used to interacting with, because that's when we're able to really identify new opportunities. So that was the opportunity for me. Girls weren't going to school, and this is something that didn't make sense. So at the time, with a local AIESEC member in Lome who traveled with me to this village, we made a commitment. We said, we're going to send girls to school. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know anything about education or theories, but it's something that made sense to me. What did make sense is the schools existed, and the girls weren't going to school. So it seemed like a simple problem at the time to find a way to send girls to school. With time, an organization called Nukoko was born, and Nukoko means smile in the local dialect of the region in which we were working in. So in Nukoko's first year, we were able to send 92 girls to school. In our second year, we sent just over 200 girls to school, and as Tiago said, now 5 years running, Nukoko is making education accessible to more than 600 girls annually. So Nukoko is a nonprofit organization based in Canada that works with international partners overseas. It has since expanded to do a whole slew of outreach and awareness programs based here, and is run entirely by a team of young volunteers spread all across the country. Committing to take action is something that should not be scary. Rather, it should be something that's exciting. And I find at times we wait to have all the answers and to really understand what we're doing, and the conditions have to be right and the timing has to be right to take action. But what is action? The timing will never be right. I think what's more important is that we all consciously decide to do something. And it could be something as simple as identifying a social issue that you're really passionate about and telling someone about it. And after telling someone about that issue, telling them the one thing you're going to do towards addressing that issue. No one expects us to find a cure to world poverty overnight, but I truly do believe that a whole series of small actions collectively will lead to global impact. And it all starts with the individual, and it all starts with that one commitment to really taking action, because good intentions alone are not enough to solve big, complex problems we have in society today.